So we're going live.
Kate's not joining us tonight, is she?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just boys' night out, mate. Boys' night out. YouTube. Hey, good evening. And Wake Up UK. Good evening. Hello. I do apologise. Running 3 minutes late. For some reason, I don't know, GCHQ, some crap. Had problems with the tech at the last minute. So I had to reboot the machine. And then nothing worked anyway. So I had to do stuff. And we're there now. Piers?
Hi.
We're there. Right. Okay. We're nearly there. I guess I'll shove on some music or something.
Busters.
No. Balls. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Blimey. Hey folks. Good evening, good people. And welcome to your weekly chaos. The daily chaos. The show ain't daily, but the chaos is. In an auto ab KO kind of a world. I'm Ollie Connolly, joined by my co-conspirators, Piers Garnham and Viscount St Davids. Trying to ride a fader. Wondering what tech is working on what isn't working. Whether I got my levels right, whether I'm actually streaming at all. I have no idea. It is pure buggery out there in social media world.
Schofield.
Hey! Oh no, I wasn't talking about Philip Schofield. That was Rodders. Hey, we've got something going on. Right, okay, and coming up, lock her up! Yeah. Oh, is that finished? Oh, that's the theme tune gone. Never mind. Cause the Dems have run out of Russians. Their party is divided, kind of like the UK's Labour Party, or pretty much every country that there's anything to do with, for example, the European Union. And with the US economy on the up and up, Trump looks like he's gonna rock election 2020. I do apologise, Democrats. He is posed to drain that swamp. So, will he? That's the big question. Plus, is UK PM Bojo gonna bugger up Brexit? Because he's buggering up nigh on everything else. Woke staff, Hollywood, Corona China, this, that. Taking your comments. Please share the show, subscribe, like it. Send me whiskey. All that. Tar. God bless you. Right. Rodders, you're there.
Indeed I am, sir.
God bless you, mate. And what about Piers? Garnham?
And by the way, that's only thanks to Piers emailing me the bloody link. Sending it to me by WhatsApp is no use at all.
Look, I'm sorry. We've got a group. I set up a group on Fascist Bot or whatever it's called today. Arse about tit. And you are in that group, and I put the link in there every week. There's no excuse, man.
I don't know. Well, don't forget, I've had problems with Facebook in the past, which, don't forget, gave me a 12-week prison sentence. So Facebook is not the best form of communication. Email works a bit better.
Facebook is definitely not the best form of communication. We're learning that. Let me just make sure. Go on.
Send you the link when you do it, so don't worry. I'll 10 minutes before the show, I'll always send you the link by your email account. So we'll always get you on, mate.
Superb.
Thank goodness somebody's organised around here.
Yeah.
Right, good. We should be going out. We are going out, by the looks of it, on YouTube. Good evening. Before they ban us there as well. I've had now four shadow bans on Facebook in the last 8 weeks. Just merely asking questions about whether or not Bojo is genuine for Brexit. Yeah, that's it. And we're also going on Wake Up UK, a far more friendly social network. God bless you people over there. And we'll be taking your comments in a minute as well. Right, so gentlemen, fascinating stuff going on, mainly stateside at the moment, no? You tell me, what's your take, please? Maybe if you'd like to kick us off, Rodders, with that swamp thing. Is Trump poised now to drain that damn place, or can we just expect more of the same, kicking cans down road and all the rest of it, Bojo style-y?
Well, I ever since he's been elected, what I found extraordinary about
cans down road and all the rest of it. Apologies for that. Carry on, Rodders.
Sorry. Okay. What I found extraordinary ever since Trump was elected as the shock winner of the American Grand National, if I can put it like that, the red rum of the race that came from the back of the field. All that's happened is that liberals have tried to destroy him. And you would imagine that they actually should be trying to, sort of have some cohesion for the benefit and support of America. Now they've gone through this impeachment nonsense, where the whole thing is just crap. It's been acidic. It's been toxic. Trump has been acquitted, and now he is poised absolutely to pull the plug on the corruption that basically constitutes what I'm about to say, professional politicians. There are no barriers left. They've tried to impeach him, and it's like gone horribly wrong. It's like, all right, Trump, unleash your worst and get rid of the crap that in actual fact promised.
Before we carry on, can you please pull your screen down on your laptop? Just so there we go. There we go.
Work?
That's great. Yeah, a bit between the two, but that's basically fine. Piers, what's your take?
Well, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Rodri. To be fair, I think the whole thing. I mean, there was a very interesting Q post today, and it was going on about how people are heavily manipulated in the media, how people are deliberately kept in debt servitude. How the average Joe out there does not have the time to do the research necessary in order to build a proper view of what's going on, and and most people tend to flock towards the general consensus for fear of being ostracized or
peer pressure,
and by your peer group. So. It was very interesting. It was quite long, quite detailed about how 6 corporations own the majority of the media out there. We live in a very, very heavily controlled environment where everything we're fed on a daily basis is basically propagandized. And so how difficult is it for us to formulate proper opinions on anything? So therefore, when you use that logic and you look at how literally ever since 2016 when Trump first got elected, the Democrats have done literally nothing else but try and get him kicked out of office. I mean, it's almost like let's just shelve every other aspect of what's going on in the States at the moment, politically, what needs to be done from an infrastructure point of view, just the daily running of the country. Mm-hmm. Let's just shelve all that, let people shit in the streets of San Francisco. And let's just try and take this guy down. And the reason for that does seem to be that, it doesn't seem to be anything to do with, I mean, let's face it, Donald Trump's not pure as the driven snow. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
You mean he's human?
Yes, he's human. He even admitted when he made his speech in relation to being acquitted he held up the front page of the Washington Post, which said, that he'd been acquitted. And he said, look, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, not deliberately, but I've made mistakes. I mean, by his own admission, he's not a perfect human being. Nobody is.
Unlike Tony Blair, who has recently shared a platform with Prince Harry. I mean, let's face it, Tony Blair is perfect.
At JP Morgan. Morgan. Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there for a minute. This whole royal wokeness crap.
But Tony Blair has never admitted to being imperfect.
He's a war criminal. I mean, anyway, okay, that's another thing. Okay, this Trump guy, first of all, genuinely, hand on heart, gentlemen, and this is a boys' night out, because our Bubs couldn't make it tonight, bless her. I don't know, I'd charge her, fell in the bath again or something. But look, that Trump bloke, he, if it was us, hand on heart, and the other bloke had won, or girl, or war criminal, that nation slayer, Hillary Clinton, who basically destroyed Libya, if it was her that had won, would you have gone, all of that kind of, all that libtard stuff, or would you just put up with it?
Well, for the sake of the nation, the answer is no. You've got to support the government, but you've got to be critical of the government. That's the whole point of having a strong opposition.
Yes.
And if that libtard Hillary, if I was American, or it's what do I want as a patriot? If you're a true patriot, you stand up for the government of the day that has been democratically elected. You have no other option. To try and bring down a government makes you a revolutionary or a freedom fighter.
Yes, or a Democrat, apparently. I mean, so what is the difference? This is what I'm trying to get to here. What is the difference with the Democratic Party today to the Democratic Party that, for example, when Ronald Reagan was elected?
Well, the point being is that we've got a new class of snowflake and fascism. And you use the word fascism an awful lot, Ollie. And the point is
government, corporate collusion. Jackboots are optional. That is fascism. It's as simple as that. Huawei or whatever it is, that Boris thing, that China company, that is fascism. They are a Tory donor. Even gave Prince Charles 500,000 quid, by the way. Sorry, go on. I'm getting off the rant alert.
The point being is that fascism is, to my mind, when one refuses to debate anything. If you disagree with me, you're wrong, and you become my enemy.
Is that fascism? Is that fascism or just stupidity?
Well, do you know what? The two go hand in hand.
Yeah. Piers, come on in. Tell us what you think. Why are the Democrats so determined, or have been? It looks as though they've run out of Trump cards now, or run out of cards or whatever, to get rid of this Trump bloke, as opposed to, for example, they were okay with even W. I mean, it was a murderer, in my opinion. No? Iraq?
Yep.
Well, I think politics changed in the 50s very dramatically. I think a whole set of new agendas and rules came into play. They thought they'd set up a sort of a dual system where you had two parties, that people could essentially vote for, the left and the right, and they created the impression of democracy. Whereas the overriding agenda, I think, since the mid 50s has been ultimately the same. So no matter who got elected, whether it be a president of the United States or a prime minister of the UK, they were all basically following the same agenda, offering, on a party line differences that people could ultimately sort of get a hold of and vote for. But really, the overarching agenda was always going to be the same. So you offer the opportunity to create the illusion of democracy when actually the real democracy doesn't exist at all. And I think, prior to the early 50s, I think probably democracy was more true, more real. But I think the reason why Trump has been, literally attacked from all fronts since he got elected is because there are certain rules in play. They can manipulate our mental state. They can manipulate the way we think and what we believe. But ultimately, they cannot manipulate our free will. They can try, which they do, bombard us daily with their propaganda in order to try and steer us in certain directions. But ultimately, the control of our free will is our own. So they can manipulate us and brainwash us and propagandize us as much as they bloody well want. But ultimately, the end decision is our own. And if enough,
you're a spiritual kind of a guy, Piers, aren't you?
Well, if enough people have woken up to this, which seems to be happening in the world right now, then what has in the past been an easy ride for them, because people have always voted the way they've wanted them to, regardless, really, whether the left or right get in, whether it's Tony Blair or David Cameron. It really doesn't matter. They're both basically following the same overarching agenda. But then you suddenly get something different happen. You suddenly get people voting for Brexit. You suddenly get people voting for Donald Trump. And this whole method of control literally goes out the window.
Okay. Let me ask you. I want you both to answer this question, please. Rodders first. What is the difference in terms of policy between this president, this Trump guy, and Ronald Reagan?
Okay. Well, there's
how much difference is there?
Hang on, Ollie. Within my peers group, there's an important point I wanted to address with peers. What has happened over the last 50 years or 60 years, and we're roughly the same age group, where in actual fact, things have changed so dramatically. And why have we got the snowflakes? And it comes down to the principles of education.
Yes.
Common
purpose.
Perhaps on purpose, but as we were growing
common
up,
purpose. It's a doctrine and political correctness. Kids are being taught to basically have bugger all respect for anything except, I don't know, their smartphone or something.
Ollie, the point is that in our day, we didn't have mobile phones. If you wanted to make a telephone call, you had to ask your old man or your mother, can I make a telephone call? If the phone rang, you ran upstairs, etc. It was one of those dial whatsits. But we had an independence of mind, because that is the way that the educational system and the lack of technology, you had to have independence of mind. And that is what enables us to make independent decisions. And Piers, the point you make about the people who voted for Brexit, the snowflakes are moaning that it's the old bastards like us who voted for Brexit. I don't count myself.
Which isn't strictly true, as far as I understand. A lot of young folk were sensible enough, despite all of their Marxist lecturers at uni, to vote for Brexit as well.
Well, do you know what? Hats off to all of those. But the point is, the nature of education has changed, and I think.
Is it education or is it propaganda these days?
Well, the two. Hang on a sec. The two go hand in hand.
And always have. It should be said.
If we look at Nazi Germany, let's look at history.
The Hitler Youth.
The Hitler Youth. You had, the girls who were being brought up to breed young Nazis. If you recall, you got extra money for having more Nazi children, etc. Propaganda and education are conjoined.
These days, that Sadiq Khan bloke puts up posters in London with white people, only white people on the poster, and saying, don't have any children. Cut your bits off. All that stuff. I'm not joking. I mean, it's like they do not want white people to conceive anymore. This is the Coudenhove-Kalergi doctrine, no? That, by the way, Juncker stood up in a speech, said that he admired one of his political heroes. This guy that basically wanted to bring mass migration chaos into Europe. No, not about, helping everybody's lives, but about creating chaos and putting down the cultures. Whatever your culture is, kill it. Homogenize it. Get rid of it.
Well, that's why we voted Brexit, frankly. We've had enough.
Okay.
There does seem to be a clear agenda at play. They do want to sort of centralize power, homogenize Europe into one recipe that is ultimately controllable from Brussels and Strasbourg. I mean, that and the best way to do that is to massively dilute national identity by flooding nations with people from radically different backgrounds who have a completely different mindset, giving them free rein, telling everybody that they, if they don't, accept these individuals and their way of thinking, then they're xenophobes, they're racists, they're bigots, so it becomes that you breed a culture of fear and political correctness that becomes the norm, and that's the world we live in now. I mean, it's all been done by design. this has been an agenda in place since the 50s. This is all to do with what we're witnessing, kind of globally with the global population and the fact that we're creating so much pollution. They don't believe that they can retain their control by dramatically changing the paradigm. I do personally believe that they have technology that could literally radically change this world for the better, but they don't want to give it to us because it means that we will be able to operate autonomously. And they won't have this degree of control over us, which is what they're so desperate to maintain.
Now, Piers, when you say they, let's clarify and identify who the they are.
Okay, well, the Bilderberg Group was formed in '54, and it was basically, royalty, heads of state, bankers, anybody worth their salt, in the big corporate world, in the world of royalty and aristocracy, the kind of Rothschilds and the Rockefellers
well, they're not aristocracy. Let's be very clear.
All right, they're not. They're just rich industrialists and bankers.
Oh, come on! It's George bloody Soros.
Yeah,
Henry bloody Kissinger. He was the one that got us into this China crisis. That bloody Kissinger bloke. Went off there with Nixon. When was it? About, 50 years ago or something. Said, let's do all this with a commie bunch of old tossers, dictators. What is that Mike Bloomberg? I mean, can you believe it? This guy reckons he's a Democrat. He reckons that he said on camera, China is not a dictatorship. I mean, what sort of a moron are you?
Listen,
what do you need? It's a one-party state. This guy's running as a socialist. Absolutely unbelievable. China is a dictatorial pile of old shite politically. And the fact that we give them the time of day shames all of us in the West. Quite frankly. Excuse me. I just had a little rant there. But you're right, Piers, this Bilderberg lot. But the bottom line is, it's these plutocrats, the likes of, Prince Andrew that thinks they can shag whatever, and it's fine. Or this, Philip Schofield who's got his hand up, Gordon the Gopher or whatever, giving it a good fisting. These people, they seem to think they can get away with just doing as they please, telling us how to think. That whacking Phoenix, that Brad bloody Pitt. Sorry, okay, Rantler, I'll shut up.
Listen, I personally believe that they have been deliberately putting people with, questionable sexual predilections, basically deviants in power because they have secrets that they want to maintain.
What,
and
Charles
the best
Linton?
way to maintain those secrets is to control the people you put in power. So you cannot attain, I do truly believe that you cannot attain true positions of authority. Anybody in a position within the establishment that has serious power over people's lives cannot be elected unless there's unless they've got something on them. And this system, I believe, was set up in the 50s. I believe they modeled humanity's growth and perpetuation. And they started to realize that by the turn of the century, once we entered the 21st century, the population of this planet, under the current paradigm of generating power and the production of food, all the rest of it, would rapidly become unsustainable. But they didn't want to, they may have these technologies. As I've mentioned before, I believe they have these technologies that could supplant the current methodologies, and we could create clean energy, and nobody would go hungry, and we could basically exist in small autonomous communities. But they don't want that. They want to maintain their control of us, so they have to retain the sort of current paradigm. And they've done that. But the only way they can actually control us is by sort of this homogenization, centralization. And now we're at the verge where Trump is about, potentially, which is the title of your program tonight, to drain the swamp. And suddenly the coronavirus gets released. It does seem like time from a timing point of view.
I'd like to interject, and sorry to interject. But you know what? When we start saying, well, let's control paedophiles and put them in positions of power, I don't think that's correct. I think it's a more fundamental analysis of humanity. The sort of people who thirst for power, in actual fact, fundamentally wrong uns. A thirst for control over people. You know, you join a BDSM club, you whip your slave or whatever it happens to be.
When?
And you know what? Well, you know.
Tell us about that, Viscount.
You know, the point is that the sort of person who wants to become a professional politician, I think, is fundamentally flawed. And
oh, blimey! Hold on a sec. Hold on, hold on. For crying! Hold on. Let's take this. Let's take this for fun, just to see. It might be my mother. I don't know. Hello, you're live on Daily Chaos. Good evening. Who's that?
Good evening, sir. How are you? I'd just like to say, I hope you are not doing that, Rodders.
He's a BDSM kind of a guy. I tell you, he's been playing around with Gordon the Gopher. That's Conway, isn't it?
It is indeed, sir.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
There. Good evening.
Hang back. Rodders, finish your point, please.
Invite me on Zoom, please.
This is no longer a call-in. It's no longer a call-in because I couldn't cope with the tech. But I do take comments, and I'm going to be taking comments in a minute. But Mark, what is your point? Okay, let's just tell us your point, and then I'm going to kick you off.
Okay, then. So I haven't been spoke to you because here's a mad one for you. There was a big police thing going on Facebook about Mark Conway being wanted. The police smashed my door in, 5 police officers. I haven't been able to go home since last Tuesday. This person has been wanted all over the country. He's been on the radio, and it's not me at all. It's just the wrong person. They're similar age. They're in a similar area to me. I've had a fucking nightmare.
Okay, you've called in to clear your name because the fact is that you're a convicted, I don't know, Gordon the Gopher Democrat or something.
I'm not convicted of anything. No. It's the wrong person. Mistaken identity with the same person's name. Got it.
So basically, what you're saying is it's completely fucked up your Tinder profile. You thought you were wanted for different reasons.
You was on it.
We don't swear on this show. It's 6 a.m. It's actually 6:30 in the morning in Wuhan, China. So Wuhan Chinese, I do apologise for the Viscount who keeps swearing. He can't help it. But Mark, so you're basically an innocent man, is what you're saying. It's not you.
Absolutely, yes. It's a mistaken identity.
Good. God bless you. And you didn't have anything to do with I don't know, Jeffrey Epstein. You're not in that black book along with Peter Mandelson and God knows how many Israeli PMs and Tony Blair and Alistair Campbell. You've had nothing to do with Jimmy Savile like that Prince Charles bloke. You're an innocent man, yeah?
Prince Andrew did pop round when I was about 6.
No, you're going down the wrong route, Ollie. I think Mark is more likely affiliated with the Hatton Garden break-in and tunnelling into the jewellery mountain.
They found some saucy pictures in there involving VIPs and Philip Schofield or something, or was that a different break-in? Some bank vault back in the 70s. That wasn't Hatton Garden, maybe.
Discuss Philip Schofield.
Right,
a bit more,
Mark. Thanks for calling in. God bless you. Nighty night.
Night.
Cheers, pal.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Go on. Okay. Look, before we get on to Schofield, because that's very entertaining, and that's when we get all the comedy value out of this show, people. But before we get on to all the woke stuff, this president, he now, am I wrong? He has 4D chess. Yeah. He has basically outmaneuvered. For whatever their reasoning and all the rest of it, I mean, quite frankly, it seems to me that they are a great advertisement for him. That actually maybe he really genuinely does want to improve things on the face of this planet. Because otherwise, maybe it's all smoke and mirrors. Maybe it is. I don't bloody know. I'm not there. But it does look good. It looks as though, he's got rid of that Mueller twat. He's got rid of all of that Russians nonsense. CNN looked like a party political, whatnot for the Democrat Party. Every news bulletin. So does the BBC, by the way. ABC, NBC, all the rest of them. But he's defeated all of that. The impeachment, come and gone. acquitted. You could argue exonerated. And apart from that, Mitt Romney, but he was always a twat. And
Yeah.
now the shoe's on the other foot. If that Attorney General Barr bloke, who seemed to cock it up with Epstein, it has to be said, very concerning that. But nonetheless, there are reasons that you can kind of understand what was going on, that it doesn't necessarily negate Trump having the compunction of being a good leader, a genuine leader. It seems like he's lined up his ducks and he's now ready to basically say, I wasn't playing around with the Russians. I wasn't doing all the dodgy server stuff. It was Barack Obama that was. It was Hillary Clinton that was.
Ollie,
when is she going to be in a jumpsuit? Could she be in a... she would look so good in orange. She would look so good in orange.
Do you know what, Ollie? The point being is that if you remember, Hillary Clinton refused to come out of her hotel room when she realized that she'd been defeated by Trump. If you recall, the natural thing is you concede defeat, you come out and you say, well, God bless America, God bless the new president, swear allegiance. When she came out after a day in her bloody hotel room, she only had one outfit, so did Bill, and that was the regal purple. We discussed that on the last show.
What was he wearing, out of interest? Dressed up like Orville the Duck or something?
I don't know, it could have been Mickey Mouse, the red hat, make America great again. But the point being, if we look at the professional political class, Piers' earlier point about who exactly are they? They are people who seek control. And I think every so often we come up with a leader, if it's Disraeli or it's Churchill, who had his own political issues. Don't forget he was fired twice. Why do they seek political power, the ability to control people? And it's
a bit psycho, isn't it? A bit sociopathic. I bet a lot of them are. We should test for that. Never mind coronavirus. Test for sociopathy. Go on.
Do you know which is why they end up, or they come, as it were, with some rather interesting social habits, be it paedophilia or, they want to beat people up or be beaten or whatever it happens to be. That comes with a persona of someone who desires power at all costs. Normal people.
This is what Fortescue said. Just as an aside, and then Piers, I want your take on this. Just as an aside, this is what Fortescue said, isn't it? Tim Fortescue, whip under Ted Heath's government.
Ted Heath, yeah.
Colleague of Ken Clarke, who's just been ennobled by that bojo moron who might give us Brexit. I hope he does. I want him to be Chichilian. So I do. But how can you ennoble a man like Ken Clarke, who kept a black book where his fellow whip, the whips are guys that tell their MPs how to vote with the government or whatever, else they get threatened. He said that we had them come into the whip's office and they'd say, oh, you know what, I've got a bit of a problem. It could be money, it could be debt, or it could be little boys, paedophilia, yeah? Could be paedophilia. And we would cover it up. He said this is almost word for word. We would cover it up in exchange for them doing our bidding. In other words, these are the kind of people, that was the government that took us into the EEC, which became the EU. Yeah?
Yep.
The government that covered up the FCO 30, 10, 40, etc. You've probably heard it before if you've ever listened to this kind of shit. But the point is that it does work, doesn't it? This is how they oil the rails of democracy, no?
Ollie, if I can hold you right there. My father was a government whip in the House of Lords before it was reformed by Tony Blair. And the business of whipping in the House of Lords used to be very different for the simple reason that you had independence. And that was the purpose of the House of Lords. And to be perfectly frank, I would happily see the abolition, hang on a sec, of the current House of Lords, because it's been derailed.
Yeah.
It's
crony.
It's no longer independent. The method of whipping in the House of Commons, and you can talk to Emma Arbuthnot's husband, that prick, James.
Now. You do have a personal. I mean, she did send you to jail.
Yeah, she did. But also, I knew her husband 20 years beforehand. And, here's a guy who's now sitting in the House of Lords as a life peer.
Keep it on topic, Rodders.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I've gone slightly off. What was the original topic?
I don't know.
We were talking about Trump.
Go on, Piers.
Can we go back to Trump? I mean, I personally think that he's had to play the long game in the States because of the level of brainwashing that the public have endured and have been susceptible to. That if he hit them with the truth, like straight into office, they wouldn't believe it. So he's had to let the Democrats hoist themselves by their own petard.
Yes.
He's had to let them nail their own coffin lid shut. He's had to expose them, by their own actions. And by doing that incrementally over time, people have slowly but surely started to realize that all is not, happy in the state of Denmark or America. This is what he's had to do. And now we're at a point where people are beginning to question everything. And it's only when you have a degree of, if you can actually get through to people, you can't hit people with detail if they're not prepared to listen, because they will just close their ears and shut their eyes and put their hands over their ears and go, no, speak to that, I'm not bloody listening. You can't address people with truths if they're in that state of mind. You have to let these things happen incrementally. And so he's had to let them go through this sham process of Russia, impeachment.
Oh, don't forget the golden showers. Don't forget the golden showers accusation with the prostitutes in Moscow.
Oh, this is Weinstein. Oh no, who's doing golden showers
Donald
now?
Trump.
Is he into what? Is he into golden showers?
No. If you remember, shortly after his election, he was accused of having slept with several hookers in Moscow, and his preference was the golden showers. And I presume that that's something that billionaires enjoy, showers of gold. And in actual fact, Putin came out in his defence, and actually it was a show of great mirth.
What did he say?
Sorry?
What did Putin say about Trump's golden showers? Allegedly.
Well, do you know what? Putin, it was one of the rare displays of Putin's phenomenal sense of humour. And I think I'm a great fan of Putin.
I bet you are. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but that's cool. Mind you, I mean,
well,
at least Putin's honest.
And he said basically, the notion that Donald Trump, who's been surrounded by beautiful women all his life, let's face it, would come to Moscow to sleep with women of a lower social morality. It was something like that. No.
Look, hold on a sec. We're getting off the subject. I want to know, is he going to lock her up?
Do you know what? I would like to know, and the same, one of the words, there are several words which I hate, which have been so abused. I'm humbled. We saw it all over the bloody red carpet at the Hollywood Awards. The Oscars. I'm humbled. Do you know what?
He doesn't have an excuse now, does he? Just to try.
No, he does. He does
try
have
to keep.
An excuse.
Go on,
you're
Piers.
talking
Go
about
on.
you're talking about removing a large section of the Congress and Senate. I mean, the Clintons had basically got everybody in their pocket. And if you take down Hillary Clinton, you take down pretty much the entire structure, the infrastructure of government in the States. And sometimes having,
Piers,
hold on, Rodders. Hold on, please, Piers.
Just, I mean, sometimes, you have to maintain some semblance of normality in order to stop anarchy from occurring. And I think this is the fragile state that America finds itself in now. If you start revealing the truth and indicting everybody, which they may do because they've had enough time now to bring in contingency plans for this eventuality. up until now, you're talking about a large contingent of the Congress and Senate who are all being bribed to the nth degree. They're all multimillionaires because of their relationships with organizations like the Clinton Foundation. So,
well, let's talk about the word foundation. And coming back to the point you made earlier, they've tried to do it. The establishment, as perceived, have tried to do it with bloody Trump by impeaching him. And don't forget that when he was elected,
but he's not the swamp, supposedly.
Ollie, he was not supported by the Republican Party.
They are trying. No, because the Republican Party, he is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat.
Well,
he destroyed, let me finish this. He destroyed the GOP before ever he was president. He did that during the primaries. He did that when he was campaigning on his soapbox. He got rid of all of that Jeb Bush twattery. And now he's done the same with the Democrats. No?
Right. Ollie, okay, that's slightly dull, but let's go back to the point that you were making. One of the words I hate is...
I don't think that's dull. I think that's very exciting. He got rid of duopolistic politics, near as damn it.
All right, okay, that's a different subject. Coming back to the question you were asking.
Go on.
I was going to lead into it by saying one of the words I hate is we have a foundation. It's a bit like Meghan fucking Markle and
now,
Harry.
Yes.
All right, and who's that other idiot? George Clooney and his idiot wife.
Oh, yeah.
We have a foundation.
Oh,
and it's a sort of catch-all for saintlyhood. We have a foundation.
Woke.
All a foundation
Hyper-woke.
is...
Hollywood.
Hang on. All a foundation means is it's a charitable structure as a legal form which is tax efficient. And when people talk about our foundation, and they say it with such gravitas and such profundity, the foundation. What a load of utter horseshit.
There's a lot of work for charity, mate.
If you want to put Hillary Clinton, as I do, and Donald Trump most certainly, hopefully will do, is unravel the foundation of the Clintons, which basically has been a mop-up of Saudi money, corrupt drug money,
Qatar, both sorting ISIS. Oh yeah, that's fine for the Secretary of State to take money from nations like the Saudis that are
you're missing the point.
Funding ISIS. No. What is that?
Ollie,
if it's not a traitor? Unbelievable. And they go over, Trump, Russians, he's orange. Sorry, carry on.
Right. Okay, the point being is when
Piers.
people use the word foundation, it makes it sound legitimate and respectable. The reality is all it is a corporate structure which is tax efficient. The reality is, you ask the question, how should Trump or could Trump put Hillary Clinton in prison? All he's got to do is to get the CIA behind and reveal the foundation. We have a foundation. I mean, all these Hollywood cunts.
Piers, now, that word is not allowed. Piers brought this up eloquently last week about the Clinton Foundation. That what was that story, Piers? Hold that
it's about
thought.
A film with Tom Cruise. It's called American Made.
No. The president of Haiti. Reckon that.
Oh yeah, the president of Haiti talked about the fact that most of the money, the $5 billion that got raised in charitable funds for the Haitian earthquake, was basically misappropriated, and it was misappropriated by the Clinton Foundation. And this was something that the ex-president of Haiti said in front of Trump before he got elected to office.
Asked Trump about in a press conference.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that they have all the evidence there to indict the Clintons 1,000 times over. It's just political wrangling and the ramifications of what would take place if they did do this. I mean, you've got to understand a large contingent of the American populace don't understand this the way we see it. They believe Hillary is a lot of people still believe she's a good person.
Shows how stupid the Americans are.
But so if you're suddenly
they're not. Bless them. Sorry, carry on. We're being satirical, people. Carry on, Piers. Bit
But
thick.
no, but this is a very delicate matter. You know, you're talking about global change. You're talking about a level of understanding that will change the globe. It'll change the perception of reality over the entire planet. These are very far-reaching. It's almost like Trump hosting an alien in the White House. In the Oval Office. That would instantly destroy.
I wonder how many he has.
All faith.
Sorry.
I mean, well, it's interesting. You asked me to bring this up, but
Piers, before you do, I want to take some comments because I've been very neglectful, as it tends to be the case, because we get all wrapped up and excited and all the rest of it, and practically get too excited. And there you go. Right. So Tanis Pullen says, Steve, he will when he has finished ranting. Lots of love, lots of laughs. Oh, the chaos. I think Tanis is suggesting that it's time I took some comments and that I rant. And I apologise. I'm very excited tonight. Must be doing the show more often because then maybe would calm down a bit more. I don't know. Carol Weston, all he was going to outed. Oh, this is about Philip Schofield by his ex-boyfriend, who could have been a school kid when Schofield was knocking him off. Well, that's alleged. Whether or not he was a child when Schofield was knocking off McGreevy or whatever his name is.
When the lad.
Can I know, Rodders? I gotta get some comments out. Hold that thought, sir, and we will come back to taking the out of Philip bloody whatnot. Thomas Whitelock. I still don't think we will be getting the Brexit we're all hoping for. Boris said he would not be giving the HS2 the go-ahead, but he has. And he wants to join the North to the South. Okay, we'll come on to that as well, because I know that there's thoughts about that, and hopefully we're going to, Tanis Pullen, Ken Clark that guy, Ken Clark, ennobled, needs to go away and never be seen or heard of ever again. He is a traitor, protecting paedophiles. Well, I think they all are, frankly, in the House of Commons. I really do. I absolutely think they do. I am going to read some... Oh, that's me. That is my mission, to read some comments. Helen Smith says, hello, Helen. Ollie, I was on Brexit since before the referendum, as you know. I researched back to the year 1684 to find out about charters and all sorts. Love, L. Thanks, Helen. God bless you. That's great. But then what's the point? Thank you. God, yeah, Helen, I love that woman. She's great. She's a nurse as well. God bless her. These are the people. Never mind the crap of the Oscars. We should be having award ceremonies for doctors and nurses and soldiers. And I don't. Anyway, Amanda Rolfson. Hey, Amanda and Eric, her old man. We'll post it on messages. Okay, that's I don't know what that is. Kenneth Noel Curran. Hey, Ken. Benacht. They are. Oh, God, I can't read that. What is that? Celtic? German? I don't know. Carol Weston, all the traitors we got rid of the election are getting knighthoods. Well, in fairness, Carol, I think two of them that I've noticed so far, which is Ken Clark, and Philip Hammond, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, who did nothing but try to stop Brexit. The bastard. London Ground says Putin is a strong leader who stands up for his country and family values, and just kills the odd Chechen here and there. Yeah, he didn't say that. I added that bit at the end. Amanda Rolfson just did some digging on the whys, what fors, etc. are pushing electric onto so much. Yeah, that's another show entirely. Blimey, I don't know about that. Miss Patriot 74 says, Ollie, stop interrupting Ridders. I apologise, Miss Patriot 74. We all get excited here. Kenneth Noel Curran also says, research the Children's Crusade, care of... Oh, blimey, I don't know what happened there. I've just my place. And over on wakeupuk.net, people are saying, Anna, who swears a lot, I've noticed, over on the comments. Hey, Anna. Says, how democratic is it that the second big party is not allowed to govern because they call a far-right wing party? How democratic is it that the second big party is not allowed to govern because they call a far-right wing party. I don't quite understand that, Anna, to be honest with you. Paul Atkins says, why are you being so polite, Dusty? Just asking for a friend. Dusty is, I don't know, not being polite apparently. Charles Ernest Spencer. God bless you, Charles Ernest Spencer. We remember election night. Remember election night, sir. You were absolute geezer giving us the results rolling in that night. Have you heard Ollie Councillor Chrissy Morris is on a charge in court in a couple of weeks? Keep on topic, Charles. Thank you very much indeed, sir. But good evening, Chrissy Morris, if you're watching. Right, okay, so I've done my bit. Sean Morris. Hello, Sean. He says, no, that was a bank security boxes. This is about that bank. I said about finding VIP pictures with kids and stuff like that when they did a robbery. Hatton Garden was the reference there. Sean Morris says, no, that was a bank security boxes pictures of Princess Margaret in compromising pictures taken in the Caribbean.
That's a film that
1960s. Go on, Rodders. You know all that lot, don't you?
It was a fabulous film that was made of and I think there's a degree of fiction there, perhaps a degree of truth. But Princess Margaret, I don't think was in actual fact. If you wanted compromising photographs of Princess Margaret, all you had to do was be able to pay for a plane ticket to Mustique, along with Mick Jagger, and you didn't have to lock it in a bloody bank vault. You know, in the days of the old Polaroid. And I've got to say, I did have the opportunity of meeting.
Did you just burp? Somebody burped.
What?
No, it's all right. Carry on.
And I've got to say, Princess Margaret did have an allure to her. There are some women who there are some women who aren't necessarily classically beautiful, but they have an electricity to them. Yeah. And even in her later days, Margaret, you thought, you know what? I was in my teens. I thought, might give it a go. She looked a bit dodgy when she was in the wheelchair. Well, you know, it makes it a lot easier to go. They can't run away.
She was some sort of official duty in North Wales, and they didn't know where to put her up. So they phoned my great uncle up, who was a lord, and has a stately home up there, or did. He died at the age of 105. You know, a while ago. Son's taken over, but they put her up basically. And,
they're posh. I'm not. I just want to point that out. Go on.
And they were looking out of the window at the fields surrounding the house. And she was like, "I'd like to go for a walk." And they'd been muck spreading in the fields, and so my uncle said to her, "Well, I feel the fields might be a bit agricultural, Mum." And she was like, "Oh, well, you've been muck spreading. I don't care about that. We'll go for a walk anyway." And then she sat after they got back from the walk. She went back to her sort of rooms and sat there drinking whiskey and smoking copious numbers of fags with the lady Langford. And so they had to put her up, and she was a bit of a character by all accounts.
I bet she was. Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone off topic.
We have slightly. Okay, so we've covered. Well, I mean, I haven't got much out of you.
We've covered quite a lot.
In terms of Trump, I'm not sure quite what to think about. There's no conclusion here. Okay, answer me this. Last question on Trump. Is he going to win in 2020? And if not, or if possibly not, what are the threats that his presidency now faces?
Well, hang on a sec. What do you mean the threats his presidency now faces?
Well, because, you know, what more obstacles might he find? Because apparently, for example, Elizabeth Warren isn't one of them. Joe Biden, that bloke who basically is a protector for Obama to try and make sure that Obama doesn't go to jail, is no longer a problem for Trump. And so what problems might he face? I don't know. What's his name?
Ollie,
Willie Buttcheek. For example, I don't know.
Ollie, it's the wrong question. Do you know what? If you are the leader of a nation, you face obstacles and problems every day, every single hour. If you're talking about political problems, I think what was that dreadful rap song, "Let the Dogs Out"?
Yeah, that was awful.
Let the dogs out.
Yeah, dreadful.
Woof, woof, woof.
Dreadful.
Exactly. And do you know what? I hope he unleashes the hounds of hell. I hope Cerberus walks into Congress and bites the heads of those bloody liberals who tried impeachment. And, you know...
I think he'll get he's a shoo-in. He'll get re-elected. I don't think there's any question or doubt about that. The world faces a lot of uncertainty right now. You know, we've obviously got this virus. We don't know whether it'll be contained or how virulent it is, who it will ultimately end up affecting. I've read
it's in British
theories suggesting that it's a bioweapon that only attacks the Chinese, that if Westerners get it, they just get a bit of a cold and then recover from it. But I don't know whether there's any truth to any of this. Only time will tell.
What's this deal about a bit of... What's this deal? What's this deal about a bit of HIV been mixed into it somehow? That's weird.
Do you know what? No one knows right now. But I can tell you.
They are actually... They're curing people with HIV drugs, apparently. Or at least they reckon HIV drugs are helping.
Well, do you know what? Any laboratory that could come up with a virus that kills paedophiles, rapists, and murderers, I'd be a happy investor in and raise money for. So if we look at deep state technology here...
Cheaper than flying them off to Jamaica.
Do you know what? I can't wait for those buggers to piss off.
When is he going to get rid of the Pakistani rape gangs? Yeah. It's fair to say this. I mean, there are hundreds of them around the UK. When's he going to get... Let me finish the question. When's he going to get rid of them? And when's he going to get rid of these bloody terrorists who are going around with their machetes chopping people up?
Well, I'll tell you. As soon as we've got rid of the snowflake mentality and we get back to Churchillian Britain, which is what saw us through 2 world wars. What we need is a proper education. We don't need a youth with all this, everything's racist as soon as you sort of,
All right, well, can I interject? There's been a recent Eisenhower event with the Eisenhower family visiting the White House. Included in their ranks was Laura Eisenhower, who is the great-granddaughter of the late president, who Ollie and I have both interviewed on one of Ollie's previous shows.
Nice girl. She doesn't like me. She thought I was rude or something. Nice girl, though. Now, very cool.
You think I'm a conspiracy theorist is off the charts. I mean, she actually claims that she was approached by sort of a black ops contingent within the States to join the secret space program for a mission to Mars. I mean, this is how crazy she is.
She's not crazy. For all we know, she's spot on.
This is the bizarre thing.
She's out there in her opinions.
She's very out there, but she doesn't sound crazy. She sounds quite credible.
Yeah.
It wasn't Trump himself. It was Eisenhower himself who warned us about the rise of the American military-industrial complex.
That's right. What a hero.
Military-industrial complex. And I do believe that the world has changed very dramatically.
Piers, that is very symbolic now that Trump is hosting an event for this guy that warned us about what apparently, according to his soapbox, Trump was going to get rid of, the swamp.
Well, I mean, you've got to factor this in. The fact that I do, you talk about Churchillian and all the rest of it, and I believe, yes, that was real then, but then the world dramatically changed. You have very serious people talking about this subject. I do believe that they did, the Nazis were digging up ancient tech in so those scenes in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're digging in the Egyptian desert or whatever, I do believe they found evidence and technology from the ancient past, and they started to look at it, reverse engineer it. It started to open windows and opportunities for them. And then I do believe Roswell was a real event. Even Edgar Mitchell, who was the sixth man to walk on the moon, went on public record to say that he believed that Roswell was a real event.
That's
so
right.
it does seem that we have had interactions with people from elsewhere who are obviously far more advanced technologically than we are, and we have then we've got hold of their technology, we reverse engineered it, and a lot of the anomalous stuff that's seen in the skies these days is actually just stuff that's off book that we own. So this, I mean, if this is true, and I fundamentally believe that it is, this is from about 47. So, directly after the Second World War, things radically changed, and then therefore a whole new philosophy had to be born in the early 50s in terms of the direction and the world was going to go in.
Piers, are you talking about Scottish independence?
Okay, Steve B. I'm going around the houses here, but very interesting that, Piers. Thank you. And it's fascinating that Trump is hosting an Eisenhower event. I mean, he just should be anyway, I guess. But maybe it's a bit conspiratorial to be reading into it too much. But yeah, Piers says this is the guy that warned us about the military-industrial complex, and basically that hopefully is what Trump is wanting to get rid of. Go on, Piers. Sorry.
No, I mean, I have researched this stuff thoroughly for 20 years, and the fact that there is just this huge case file of very legitimate and genuine, credible witnesses that, I mean, you've got Paul Hellyer, the ex defense
Canadian
secretary, who's come forward and said on public record that he believes in all this stuff. You've got Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, who's come forward and said there's literally a ream of individuals. There was a press club conference in 2001, just before 9/11, where something in the region of 40 military people with credentials swore affidavit statements at a Washington press conference about the Black Ops project that existed within America, where they are interacting and dealing with off-worlders. I mean, this stuff has been very cleverly poo-pooed and buried, but actually there's a huge amount of witness testimony. There's a huge body of evidence out there. I mean, when you listen to these people talk for hours on end, and there's no break in their continuity, the level of detail that they're applying to these stories, they're not just bullshitters. And some of these guys are really old. Some of them are like, in their 80s, in their 90s, and they're giving testimony because they don't care any longer.
Do you know what, Piers? Do you believe that Uri Geller can break a carving knife by sneezing on it?
No. I mean, I think Uri Geller is a Mossad agent in the same way that I think Epstein was a Mossad agent, and I think
I would agree. Now that's an interesting point.
I think that Uri Geller has a lot in common with Gordon the Gopher. Right, I'm just leaving that there. I just wanted to say, Steve B has a very nice little comment here, an interesting comment about the Corona China thing. It is a weapon, not as serious as common influenza, but the MSM are running this to hide real news. Debate.
I think that might be true. I think it does seem interesting to me, the fact that Trump is now reaching this juncture with the whole impeachment and Russia. The Dems have reached the end of their tether in terms of what they could throw at him now. They've come to the end of the line. We are almost at the point where the swamp might start to be drained, and then suddenly we end up with this massive distraction, a global distraction that's being heavily publicized. The fearmongers in the papers and on the news are pushing this shit like you wouldn't believe. It's the timing of this is extraordinary. It just too fishy to.
Very convenient for Hong Kong too.
I can't remember who framed this quote, but in times like these, remember there have always been times like these. Now, if you think about the Black Death, the bubonic plague, etc.
Messy.
Doubtless there would have been some sort of town crier or soothsayer saying, "Oh, well, hang on a sec. There's something wrong in the Tower of London," which is why we've now been infested by these bloody rats carrying the bubonic plague.
That's right. It was Piers. Piers' predecessor, the conspiracy theorist town crier, was going around doing that.
It was one of Piers' great sort of ancestors.
Ghost of Christmas Frankfurter.
The world has changed since the internet. Since the early 90s when we all went online for the first time, and suddenly there was this cornucopia of information available to us.
No, I'm sorry, Piers. Basically, what the internet brought was a great deal more self-abuse and masturbation in public schools. Let's be very clear about the value of modern media.
Yes,
he is right. He is right.
About pornography, you're absolutely right. But it has also opened.
Have they been basically trying to ruin us morally?
Yes, it's the devil. If you remember I don't know whether you ever saw the original film Bedazzled with Peter Cook and Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
It's an absolute classic. The music is superb.
Brilliant.
And you've got Raquel Welch in there. I mean, the whole bit. And, it's the devil trying to sort of compete against God. How many souls can he get behind the fence on his side before he gets reprieved?
Yeah.
And you know what? The internet, the modern internet and the service providers, to me, are a representation of Satan. And I speak as a very bad Roman Catholic, actually. I can't sound good at all.
So you don't have a particularly large porn collection? Right, okay.
Absolutely vast.
Kenneth,
you have no idea.
Rod is just keen on imbibing the sacrament a little bit.
Kenneth Noel Curran says Dan Dare meets Doctor Who in the TARDIS, listening to a cross between Huxley and Orwell. Beam me up, Spock! I don't trust Scotty, the humanoid.
Bloody
Thanks,
hell.
Ken. Thanks, Ken. At least this time it's not in Celtic or Gaelic or whatever it is. Helen Smith says it's the flu season, so the amount of cases and fatalities are added up. Okay, now that was actually one thing that we were going to cover. And gentlemen, we've got 5 minutes, in fact 4.5, and I want to get in the Damn Busters theme tune. Yeah, so quickly, please tell me. Is this coronavirus, is Trump correct, or maybe just a bit hopeful to think that this coronavirus thing will calm down a wee bit when the air is a little bit more humid, i.e.
boring, Corona, we've already covered it. Let's talk about Philip Schofield and why he's such a hero for coming out for buggering some 18-year-old when he was 50. I call that perverse, but he's the hero, and his wife, who stood by him for 27 years, probably knowing he was a bit on the, and I'm not homophobic in the slightest.
Is he stunning and brave?
Is he stunning, brave, heroic? When we listen to the Dam Busters, by the way, will we be thinking of Philip Schofield? The answer is probably not. When we look at the heroes of Telemark and our great British veterans, are we thinking of Philip Schofield? But the way that the press have laid him out as this heroic, brave figure, his mother coming out saying, "I'm so proud of him."
If you're not,
comes to mind.
Hold on. Oh, balls. I apologise. If you're not from the UK and you're wondering who Philip Schofield is, good for you. Lucky people. He is a presenter who was best known for fisting a puppet thing when he was 50 years ago or something. And now he's come out after 26 years of marriage and said that he's been having it off with this bloke that he met when the kid was at school or something. Hey, Piers?
Just come out as gay. He hasn't admitted to having an affair with anybody. I mean, this is
that's
the
true.
Timing,
that's true.
The fact that he's choosing to come out as gay now seems to be an attempt to mitigate the damage that may occur once everybody realizes he's had an affair with a teenage boy.
He was about to be outed. In fact, he was outed in December or something. It was in the Mirror. Anyway, but the question, the point though, is actually not to do with that, really, is it? It's why is the media fawning over this bloke for, at best, adultery and lying to his wife and kid of like 26 years or something?
His 2 children.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit odd, isn't it? Why don't they just ignore it? Yeah, and just why is it just a big distraction, or are they somehow trying to, I don't know, degrade all of our moral values by pretending that this is somehow heroic?
There is a dissolution of moral values. Now, the fact that he's a perf doesn't bother me in the slightest. But the fact is, being deceptive. And you know what? When we play the Dam Busters, we think of squadron leader Guy Gibson. Philip Schofield doesn't really come to mind.
No, not really. Maybe Gordon the Gopher.
Maybe. Lawrence of Arabia was a puff, but he was a bloody good soldier. So,
Well, do you know what? One of the issues with the most decorated man in the Second World War was Paddy Mayne, who took over command of the Special Air Service when David Stirling was captured. Now, there is good cause to believe, and if you ask anyone in America, they won't disagree, that in actual fact, he was homosexual. The point is, it does not detract from his heroic actions. And did he deceive anyone? The answer is no.
Gentlemen, God bless you. It's that, blimey.
Dam Busters, Dam Busters.
I just played it, Rodders, but then it cut off. I got a dodgy recording and it cut off halfway through. Tweet from Emily Thornberry coming in. I'll be in Viz next week. In Viz, I'll be appearing in Viz, campaigning for the Labour leadership.
You'll be in Westminster Magistrates Court, mate.
Yeah, that woman. She tried to get me arrested when I just asked her a question. Where's the democracy in SW1? She tried to get me arrested for that. Emily Thornberry, you really are up. You know what I mean?
I love it. Here's the modern take on exactly. Hang on, that's Cherie Blur.
Hold on. Oh no, I want to show that. Piers, show it again. Look at that. There we go. Hey, who's that? Hillary Clinton. Oh no, you can't see it. There you go.
I painted that myself.
There you go. Oh, I've buggered up the sound. Anyway, that's it. God bless you. See you next week. Please share this, people. Please share this. Please share it. For crying out loud, share the bloody show. And I'll see you next Wednesday, 9:00, with old Piers. God bless you, Piers. God bless you, mate. Rodri, God bless you. Viscounts and Davids, they were on tonight. Old Bubs, she couldn't make it. I think she electrocuted herself. She dropped the bloody charger in the shower or something. Anyway, see you next week. Ciao.
Take care, Ronnie.